Hello everyone. Welcome to day one of the 21 Days to a Stronger Core Challenge. Today we're going to start by focusing on our transverse abdominis muscles. And before we move into some of the exercises, we're going to be working on these muscle groups for the next few days. I just want to share a quick explanation of where the transverse abdominis are, or abdominal muscles, and how we activate them and what the benefits of activating them are. I am going to read from some notes. It just helps me organize my thoughts and keep things nice and short and sweet. So the transverse abdominis are the deepest of the core muscle groups, or the four main core muscle groups. And many times they're called the corset muscles. So you can visualize what an actual corset, like the clothing, the corset does. It kind of holds everything in and tightens everything up. So the transverse abdominis run horizontally from front to back, and they are in between the lower ribs and the pelvis. So kind of right around the lower part of your trunk. And engaging and strengthening these muscle groups really helps stabilize the lumbar spine. If you think about our spine, parts of our spine are very mobile, and the lumbar spine is one of the parts that are very mobile, and because of this, there's a lot of risk to injury in that part of the back. So a lot of people will have herniated discs in that part of the back, the L4, L3, usually where it connects to the other areas of the spine. And the other thing that the lumbar or the transverse abdominis does, it helps us brace ourselves for action. So when you pick something heavy up from the floor, or when you're pushing something or pulling something, being able to incorporate these deeper muscle groups will help keep your spine from getting injured. So, if you ever pick something up and you throw out your lower back, usually it has something to do with weak, deep core muscles. When we don't have strong transverse abdominis, or we're not really able to engage them, our body does something that's called taking the path of least resistance. So all these exercises that we're going to do, or that we're going to do today, you can technically do them without engaging your transverse abdominis, but chances are you're going to use other muscles that are not necessarily going to support you in the way that the transverse abdominis does. And that's when you could start to get into trouble, especially with the lower back. So again, it's pretty common for people with weak transverse abdominal muscles to experience low back pain. So if that's why you're choosing to do this challenge, this is going to be one of the most beneficial parts of the challenge. And I encourage you, as we move forward in the challenge, that you continue to think about these deep muscle groups. What's interesting about the transverse abdominis is you can't access them through movement alone. So a lot of the other muscle groups, twisting gets into certain core muscles, bending forward, back bending, those all actually engage certain core muscles. But these movements do not necessarily engage the transverse abdominis. What engages the transverse abdominis is a deeper sense of awareness, as well as the breath, okay? And in yoga, I talk a lot about drawing the navel in and feeling as if the ribs are kind of contracting, and that is in essence connecting to those deep transverse abdominal muscles. So without further ado, we're going to do 4 exercises today. I'm using a yoga mat to lie on because the hard floor is just a little hard on the back and the knees. Feel free to have some padding, whatever you need. You won't need anything else though. And let's just begin lying down on our backs. Now the first thing I want us to do is just kind of access the transverse abdominal muscles in a very subtle way. And when we start this, you may feel like you're not doing anything at all. But over time, you will start to notice subtle differences in just how your body feels when you do other movements, okay? So lie down on your back with your feet flat on the mat, and then locate the little knobby bones at the front of your pelvis, or they call this the frontal hip bones. And then from there, I want you to kind of find the area that's just kind of where the rib cage ends. So the hip bones and the rib cage, and just place your fingers, 2 fingers on your hip bones and then 2 fingers on your lower ribs, okay? Now from here, take a big breath in, and it could be in through the nose Now when you exhale, I want you to exhale, draw the belly down towards the spine, and imagine like you're trying to clamp the hip bones and the ribs towards each other. And you'll feel the lower back press down. And then do that again. So inhale, allow the ribs and the hip bones to kind of move apart and feel how the lower back lifts and the belly lifts. Now as you exhale, draw the lower ribs and the frontal hip bones together, and then really press the belly button down, down, down. And then do that again. So inhale, go and feel the belly rise. Good. Now as you exhale, find that, I call it like the clamping action, where you're trying to clamp the ribs and the hip bones towards each other. Good. Now this time, keep the belly somewhat drawing in as you inhale. So keep that sense of clamping. And then as you exhale, see if you can press the belly button down towards the spine. Imagine like you can actually touch your belly button into the spine, or actually those two areas can touch. And then continue on your own, just a few more cycles of breath. Inhale. And then exhale, belly button presses down. And then one more like that. Inhale. And exhale. Now keep your fingers where they are, okay? Just keep the fingers where they are. Take another deep breath in. Notice how the hip bones and the ribs kind of move away from each other slightly. Now this time, exhale all the breath out. Exhale till there's nothing left, and then hold it. Hold it at the bottom of the exhale. Press the navel down, down, down towards the spine. And then do that one more time. So slow and steady breath in. And then slow and steady exhale, 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 exhale. Keep pressing the breath out. Keep pressing the breath out. Feel the entire rib cage contract some. Hold it at the bottom. Okay. Now go ahead and release that. Let your belly get soft for a moment. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Okay. Now we're going to try to activate those muscle groups with some simple movements. The first little movement we're going to practice is, they call it dead bug. So start with your knees above your hip bones and your shin bones parallel to the floor. So you're creating a 90-degree bend in your knees, and go ahead and flex your feet. Now take the palms of your hands and place the palms of your hands on the tops of your thighs and just press the two together. And when you do that, when you press your hands into the thighs and vice versa, you'll feel those muscle groups that we worked on just a moment ago with the breath start to activate. And you can kind of tell, it feels like you're tightening a corset around your lower ribs. Okay, now from here, you're going to take your left leg forward as you take your left arm overhead. But keep pressing the right hand and the right knee into each other. Take an inhale. Now as you exhale, come back to the original position, hands and thighs pressing together. Now let's switch sides. Inhale, take the right leg forward and reach the right arm back. And then as you exhale, bring the right knee in and then press the palm of the hand into the right thigh. Good, we'll do that a few times. So now you should start to feel a little something. Inhale, left leg and left arm extend. Exhale, draw it back in, but keep pressing the hands into the knees. Inhale, right arm and right leg extends. And then exhale, press the hand and the knee together. And then one more time. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull it back in. Inhale, extend. And then exhale, draw it back in. Okay, good. Place both feet on the floor and just take a couple of deep breaths. Let the belly relax. And it's important too, throughout the practice, that you let your belly get soft from time to time. And you just start to notice. You might start to feel some sensation in the lower back, almost like the muscles around the lumbar spine are starting to activate a little bit and actually support. Okay, hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little rock from side to side. Okay, and then start to rock up into a seat. And the next pose we're going to hold for a little bit is a forearm plank. So we're going to go right into it. So one thing I want you to notice when you do the forearm plank, and feel free to kind of stand in front of a mirror and see what your body looks like. As you're holding the forearm plank, you want to feel as if you're trying to bring your frontal hip bones and your lower ribs together. But at the same time, you want to keep the heart or the sternum moving forward and a lift in the chin, slight lift in the chin. So you don't want the head to drop, you don't want the shoulders to collapse. Now we're going to try to do a minute hold of a forearm plank, just 1 minute. We're going to build over the next few days. If you need to take breaks, place your knees on the floor and then come back into it. And then lastly, when you're holding the forearm plank, do your best not to clench your jaw or grip your facial muscles. Make sure you're breathing, okay? So lengthen the lower back, slight lift of the navel, so the frontal hip bones and the lower ribs are moving together, but the heart reaches forward at the same time and the chin is somewhat lifted. I'm going to recommend taking the forearms on the floor and interlacing the fingers. Elbows about the width of the shoulders. Press the forearms down and then right away look towards your thumbs and you know, kind of keep your eyes there. So try not to let the head drop so you're looking towards the legs. Just look slightly forward. And then one leg at a time, go ahead and extend the legs straight back. Now notice if the pelvis is dropping below the shoulders. You want to keep the hips about the same height as the shoulders. You're pressing your heels towards the back of your mat, so the buttocks are moving towards the heels as well. And that's going to create that kind of lift in the side waist that we're looking for. The belly lifts as well. The frontal hip bones and the lower ribs are moving towards each other. Now again, if you notice your head starting to drop, try to keep your eyes focused forward. And I get it. You know, if this is a newer practice for you, take little breaks and then come back. Don't feel bad about that. Take a few more breaths. I'm actually really good at forearm planks for some reason, probably because of all the years of working with my transverse abdominis. I've actually had forearm plank challenges with, you know, guys that are much stronger than me, you would think anyway, and I always end up beating them. So I could hold this for a really long time, but we're going to hold it for about 10 more seconds here. Just stay with it if you can. Deep breaths in and out. Your legs, the more you work the legs, the easier it is. Okay, for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the pelvis, point your toes, and then release your hands. Move your forearms forward slightly, press the forearms into the floor, and just lift your chest for a moment. So kind of releasing those muscles with a Sphinx pose, little stretch of the front body. Good. Little neck circles is fine too. Okay, good. And then from there, go ahead and lower yourself down. Come onto your tabletop position and take a moment in child's pose. So send the hips back towards the heels. Take a few deep breaths. Now, if you are doing some of these exercises and you start to feel a little bit of pain in the lower back, then I want you to start from the beginning and really try to access those transverse abdominis just by doing those super simple exercises of exhaling and drawing the belly down towards the spine while trying to clamp your ribs and your hip bones together, okay? And that could be what you do. That could be the full practice today. And then, of course, you want to have a level of precision when you're doing all these poses. So if you start to feel really exhausted, can't really breathe that well, you're like shaking, take a moment just to pause, bring the knees to the floor, whatever you need to do, okay? All right, come back to a tabletop position. We have one more exercise to go for this first installment of the 21-day core challenge. So tabletop pose, hands into the shoulders and knees under your hips. Now we're going to do extended tabletop pose and then pull knee and elbow together. So similar to what we did in the dead bug pose, except we're doing alternating arms and legs. So the first thing I want you to do is stretch the right leg back but keep the foot on the floor, okay? Now press the right heel towards the back of the mat, but then slide your right hip bone forward towards the lower ribs. And then from there, lift the right leg as high as you can without the belly collapsing. So you want to try to not let the lumbar spine drop. You want to keep a lift through the lower belly. And then keep the right foot flexed with the right knee and toes pointing down. Now reach your left arm forward and then turn the palm of your left hand in and continue to lift your belly, lift your ribs, but keep a slight lift in the chin. Now take a big breath in. Now as you exhale, bring the knee and the elbow together and go ahead and round your back a bit. Press the mat away. And then we'll do that 5 times. Inhale, extended tabletop pose. Keep the hip bones moving forward. Exhale, elbow to knee, lift the belly. Okay, 3 more. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull it in. You should feel the hamstrings activating as well a little bit. One more time. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull it in. Now inhale, extend. And then gently lower your left hand and place your right knee on the floor next to the left knee. Now reset here. You can let the hips shift a little bit from side to side. Feels kind of nice. Do a couple of rounds of cat and cow. Just kind of move the pelvis a little bit. Good. All right, now find a neutral spine. So what does a neutral spine mean? It means that the natural curves in your spine are present, okay? So you don't want to round here. You want to feel that slight contraction of the lower belly, but at the same time, there's some length in the neck. The sitting bones are moving straight back. And then try to widen the shoulder blades as well by pressing the hands firmly into the floor. Now keep the right knee underneath the right hip and then straighten your left leg, but again, keep the foot on the floor for now. And then press your left heel back. Slide your frontal hip bones forward. And then imagine like you try to drag your sternum forward through your arms. Now start to lift your left leg. And it may not lift very much at all. It may just lift a little bit. It may not even lift to parallel to the floor. I have no idea what my leg looks like right now. Work your left inner leg up and continue to slide the hip bones forward. Now reach the right arm forward and turn the palm of the right hand in to release your trapezius muscle. Now do your best here. Take an inhale. Now as you exhale, bring the knee and the elbow together and round your back as much as you can. Okay, again, inhale, extended tabletop. Exhale, knee and the elbow together and round the back. 3 more. Inhale, extended table. Hip bones continue to move forward towards the low ribs. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, extended tabletop. Exhale, elbow to knee. Last time. Inhale, extended tabletop pose. Exhale, elbow to knee. Now inhale, extended table. Last breath in. Lower the right hand. Lower the left knee. Separate your knees a bit and come back into a child's pose. So send the hips towards the heels. And then this time, make a pillow with your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. And just take a few deep breaths here. Good. Just seeing and noticing what those few little exercises, not very long in them either, have what they've activated a little bit. And it's really important, especially with working with these deeper muscle groups that are hard to access, is to be patient with yourself, okay? Be patient and know that as we move forward in these 21 days, we are going to build strength, we are going to get stronger, we're going to build tolerance to some of these poses too, so things are going to start to feel slightly easier, and that's when I'm going to start to make them a little bit more challenging. If you have any questions, please let me know. Take your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 2. Go in peace.